Right, we'll watch a little bit of this. So, FF14 history.
Oh, yep, today I'm gonna tell you all about the history of Final Fantasy XIV. For instance, did you know that Bard LB3 used to be the healer LB3? That's right, when a Bard did LB3, they would raise the entire party. Pretty cool! In order to unlock the job, you used to have to level another job to
That's
level
cool.
15. For instance, to get Black Mage, you would have to get Thaumaturge to level 30 and Archer to level 15. And not only that, but all of these role abilities here, they used to be called cross-class abilities, and you would unlock them from leveling up other jobs and getting their skills. For instance,
what?
Swiftcast came from Black Mage level 26. So if you were a healer, you had to level Black Mage in order to have Swiftcast raise.
When did that cease to be a thing? Because that's really not great. I think a lot of people level multiple jobs anyway, but that is quite extreme. That is like, I guess that's quite a grindy MMO, huh? But the thing with FF is that you've got the story grind. So if you have the story grind and then you have traditional MMO RPG grind on top of that, then like, whoa, you're really doubling up. The Bard ult being Bard LB3 being the res is quite interesting, but then what was the healer's LB3? Was it is that why healer's LB3 or LB1 and LB2 is healing and then LB3 is to res? I guess it just used to do an even bigger heal, which would have been pretty useless as a healer. If you just had a large heal, you would probably never ever use that. People even say that you don't use the healer AoE res LB3 at the moment anyway. So it's interesting. Oh, it was still the same. It was still mass res, but Bards also had it. Okay, cool.
26. And Dragoon had Blood for Blood, but that worked on all the melees, so all the other melees had to level Dragoon to get the damage buff. Provoke was a Paladin ability. You could only get it from Paladin. If you played Warrior, you had to level Paladin, or you didn't have Provoke. This video is
he's getting so upset. That's weird with leveling Dragoon. The nice thing with leveling Dragoon, though, is that you get access to all the extra voice lines in Heaven's Ward, so it's kind of worth it, right?
Sponsored by Ragnarok Origin, link in the description below. Welcome to Ragnarok Origin, where the fantasy becomes reality. This epic MMORPG on mobile has begun pre-registration.
On mobile?
Enter in a fantasy open world and discover mysterious
Whoa.
and evil secrets.
Wait, I'm not
within this
sponsored. Why am I?
adventure.
Hold on.
It's got infinite character customization.
Okay.
Customize and upgrade your weapons, armor, magic abilities, and more to match your playstyle and defeat your opponents. And look at this art. It's so nice. Who wouldn't want to live a heroic fantasy life? What anime should I watch? Do I still watch anime?
If anyone has this installed on their PC, definitely check them.
Of course. Yes, this is an MMO for anime fans. So if Ragnarok
FBI,
Origin
check
looks
'em.
interesting to you, go visit the pre-registration site in the link in the description below. And
Oh, there's a cute pig, though.
And they're even giving away a Tesla Model S. So yeah, I think that might be worth doing. And healers used to have this thing called
Wait,
cleric
he's-
stance. I'm not talking about the old cleric.
Wait, he just goes
Tesla
straight into it.
Healers used to have this thing called cleric stance. I'm not talking about the old cleric stance that would buff your damage. No. I'm talking about old cleric stance. The one where you would have to push a button and then swap between heal mode and DPS mode. Let's say I push a button. Okay, I'm in cleric stance. Now all of my DPS skills actually do damage, right? But all my heals don't heal. So now if I have to heal somebody, I have to pop cleeric stance.
That's
off
kind of
and
like
then
Shadow
heal
Form in
them.
WoW.
And this was freaking great. You
For
can
priest.
tell people, no man, I can't heal you right now. I'm in cleric stance.
I actually really like that. That's really cool. So that's kind of like Shadow Priest in WoW, right? Where you have to spec into it, so you have to like dedicate more of your customization. If you guys know what talent points are and stuff like that, you have to actually fully commit to it. So you sort of cease to be a healer as a priest. But obviously in FF you don't have class specializations, right? You don't have further degree of customization. So this is like on the fly, isn't it? Yeah, this is on globals where you can switch between the form. That's really cool, actually. I would probably play White Mage if this came back. I don't know why, but mentally as a healer, if I like sort of had a DPS form that I swap into, maybe I'm like more inclined to want to do that. No, you don't want it to come back? Okay, if you're a healer in chat, do we want this back? Yes, 1 for yes, 2 for no. What are we saying? I actually think that's kind of cool. No, you guys don't want it? Keep it dead, keep it dead. Okay, well, if this is going to annoy the healers, then I want it even more. Okay?
Probably, they should bring that back. I think everybody would really like that. Yeah, here's a fun one.
Larry's on my team.
I can't heal you right now. I'm in cleric stance. Yeah, they should bring that back. I think everybody would really like that. Yeah, here's
okay,
a
he's
fun
being
one.
sarcastic.
Gear used to have accuracy stats on it, and you would need a minimum accuracy in order to even hit the boss. Yeah, there was a different number for the front, the rear, and the side. Yeah, so if you were a tank and you didn't meet the front accuracy requirement, guess what? All your hits miss and you don't keep aggro. Yeah, so you would have to build your entire gear set around making sure you hit accuracy cap. It sucked.
This is like, dude, that's hey, what's up, Ponto? That's a WoW thing as well. You have hit chance, and your hit chance is dependent on, you have a main hand weapon hit chance, and then you have an even higher hit chance required for your offhand weapon if you are dual wielding. It's, yeah, that's something like, I like hit chance as a thing. I'm going to call it hit chance, called accuracy rating, that's fine. I like that as a concept. I don't know that it's necessary, especially if you're a tank. Right? But I don't know that it's necessary. I don't know that it always makes the game. I don't know that it always improves the game and the combat. Because it sort of locks you into needing a certain amount of, hit chance, expertise, right? Like things like that. I like it in Classic, so I feel like I'd probably like it in Final Fantasy 2, but I have not played FF Endgame, like Endgame. I've not played it in Endwalker. And normally what happens is something like this probably makes a lot of sense in A Realm Reborn. But when you get to Endwalker and your rotation's very different and very specific, it doesn't really need to be present. Like CC Lemon saying, like in Classic, not in retail.
It's beautiful and amazing. Yeah, in the beginning of the game, we didn't have glamours. Yeah, we looked like
That's
this.
fine.
You know, a tome chest, hands from a raid, boots from a dungeon. Yeah. This one...
That's cool. Sorry, I know he just, this video is just very much like he's just doing little snippets that aren't all related, so that's why I'm doing stop, start, stop, start. I like non-glamour. I actually think... So this is a weird one, I've not fully thought it through, but whenever they release a new, like, raid or expansion, mainly a new expansion, they should sort of deactivate glamour on any of the new gear. Right? For, like, a couple weeks, maybe a month or two, where you have to appreciate the new gear. The devs have spent weeks working on all this new gear, and you should show them how much you love their work. You guys don't love the devs. You guys are saying no in chat. You don't love the devs. Is that what I'm seeing? Because I'll let the devs know. I'll screenshot all your names. I'll screenshot what you've said, and I'll send this to them if you want. So this is something I do in WoW. Whenever a new expansion comes out or a new patch, I do not transmog, I do not glamour my gear for a good couple weeks. Because I like to just see what new stuff they've got. Now, maybe that's a personal thing, so maybe they don't need to force that on everybody. But I do think it's nice to just, like, say thank you to the devs of the new stuff that they've made and say, hey, I appreciate your hard work and I've looked at it. It's kind of nice.
Might actually be the biggest quality of life change. Yeah, in raids, when you wiped, your cooldowns did not reset. So if you...
Oh, this is a thing still in... Well, no, okay.
And they needed it, and then everybody died, you had to wait the 7 minutes for Hollow Ground to come back. Your cooldowns resetting sped up prog so much. Oh yeah, and if you died, you lost your food buff. Yeah, every time you died.
Okay, dude, it's so funny that some of these things have been removed in FF. In WoW, when you die, you lose your food buff. Still to this day. Cooldowns not resetting is awful. Luckily, we're on a 2-minute meta, though, so how bad can it really be? I love a 2-minute meta.
Gone. If any group had a bard, which most did, dragoons were required because they would give a piercing debuff to the boss, and that would buff the bard's damage.
Cool.
Also, there used to be 3 bars. There, we had HP, MP, and TP, and the physical jobs would all work off of TP. And yeah, guess
what about
what?
PP?
Whenever you push sprint, you would use up your entire TB gauge, and you wouldn't be able to attack
Whoa.
anymore. Pretty good for casters and healers, though, because they used MP. Oh, yeah, and dying would reduce all of your stats. So the more you died, your health would get lower, too. Which really did not end up helping your cause, because it just became easier to die then. Overall, tanks had to do a
Isn't
lot
that
more-
just a Dark Souls mechanic? Isn't that just that's the Dark Souls thing? It's like when you die, you suffer by dying more.
managing with their enmity than they do now. Actually, everybody in the whole party would kind of help out, especially ninjas.
Enmity is
had an
threat, right?
ability where they could give their enmity to the tank, and they actually had an ability where they could reduce somebody else's enmity,
Misdirect,
including the tank. And of course, asking the black mage to make sure they did quelling strikes before they used all their explosions, that was very common. Otherwise, the boss would go whoop and kill the black mage. You know, melees still cry about positionals now, but back in the day, if you missed a positional, you broke your combo. Dots wouldn't happen.
Do you guys like, do we like positionals? Yes or no? Like, positionals, over, like, is it the more the better? Or are we happy what we have now? Or do we not want any period? What's the general consensus? We like positionals. True North Gamer, yeah, cool. You should put that on your resume, Dated design, I like how it is now. I hate them, remove them. Yeah, no, it feels tacked on. Some's cool, liked it. The way I see it, if they're only doing a couple, some specs only have, or some classes only have like 1 or 2 positionals. At that point, probably just remove them. Maybe have like a job where they're like ninja or something, or monk, where like they're very, like you have a lot, but you're the only class that has them. That way it's like quite unique. And then if you really want to do positionals, cool, play monk or something like that. But if you don't, then you're sort of free from that.
The buffs wouldn't happen if you didn't get the positional. Yeah, it was way worse. Your whole rotation would be messed up. So this is pretty cool. Titan Eggy used to be able to be a tank. Yeah, it made a lot more sense. And he had a health bar. They don't have health bars anymore. In fact, there was a whole strat surrounding that. This fight was way too hard for the tanks at the time, so we would just bring Titan Eggy, and Titan Eggy would tank remove. Reason being is you didn't have to do the tank mechanics. But yeah, Square Enix did not like that, so they nerfed Titan Eggy after that. Something about wanting the tanks to be able to play the game. I mean, summoners back then were even able to solo extreme fights because of Titan. So yeah, don't worry, Titan Eggy. I'm sure
that seems a bit extreme.
So you know how with Scholar, they have 2 fairies, Eos and Selene. You might be wondering what's the difference. Right now, there's not a difference, but there used to be a big one. So Eos used to be the healer-focused fairy. It did a lot of AoE regens and buffs. But Selene, on the other hand, was the DPS fairy, specifically because it gave everybody haste. Yeah, Selene was the best, especially for black mages. We freaking love Selene. Yeah, but she doesn't do that anymore, so bye. You used to be able to assign
unlucky
to your attributes.
I wonder why did they remove that? Like, did they remove it and improve the spec, or are they trying to just make everything more simple, like simplify everything? Because if they are, then that's a bit of a shame. They have homogenized things a lot, haven't they? Streamlining, homogenization. Same sort of thing, I guess. Wasn't a choice anymore. Everyone used Selene. But now do they all do the same thing anyway? So you can use whichever one. So at least a choice then mattered, whereas now the choices don't matter. I'm not clued in on Sage. There's only one fairy, right? There's only one fairy, right? Scholar. Yeah, sorry. Community figured out which one was the best, and everyone used that. Like every other choice, they tried to keep in the game. The thing is, in life, is that people are always going to optimize things. They're always going to figure out the best possible thing. So it is what it is, right? You can still make fun, interesting design. People are still going to optimize it, but at least for anyone who sort of just is playing, then they get to have a fun time.
You used to be able to assign points to your attributes. So like you would put 30 points into strength or 30 points into intelligence, right? So if you wanted to be able to play both Scholar and Summoner, whenever you swapped, you need to buy this item that would reset your stat allocation points between Mind and Intelligence. Yeah, back in the day, you couldn't actually just queue up for raids in the duty finder. You had to go to where the raid was physically located with your whole party of 8 people.
How long ago were all of these
and
things?
queue up
Because
at
the game
location.
now that
Yeah,
I'm
and
playing...
this meant that all of the raiders on the server would be here during raid night. You know, reset would happen. There would be people sitting here waiting for their raid to start, or there'd be people over here jumping up and down naked asking for a raid group, you know?
And they said that raiders don't like RP. So this was like, this is old stuff, huh? That's quite interesting, because for me, I'm playing through my experience now in Heaven's Ward, and the game feels like way better than what this looks like.
It was simple times, very simple times. And this would change depending on the tier. Like, this is where second coil was. And right over this way, this is where the final coil was. You see this entrance right here? This is where everybody would be. Oh yeah, and by the way, cross-world party finder was not a thing. You could only raid with the people that were on your server. So again, that's why all the raiders
That's
were
quite
here
normal.
on raid night. And if you weren't here on raid night, you couldn't raid. But I mean, now we have a full party finder, and you're gonna be able to find a raid no matter what time of day. So
Yeah.
ultimately, it's better for the game that way. You know how all of our raids nowadays are called Savage? It'll say Savage difficulty, and that's the end game raid. Well, back in A Realm Reborn, the coils were Savage. They just didn't have that naming convention yet. These were the end game raids. And when you see a second coil Savage...
But didn't they make then... They made Coil Savage a separate thing, right? Yeah, I think he's going to explain that.
These were super hard. Their
Right,
whole
okay.
idea of making these was how mean can we be? And in these older raids, since they have trash mobs in between
Do you
the
guys think-
entrance and the boss.
Do you guys think it's worth going back and looking at Savage Coils? I kind of just want to get to the new raids, like the more modern raids, so Stormblood onward. If you have a choice between doing Coil Savage and, say, doing the, you know, raid in Shadowbringers on Savage, you're probably gonna want to go Shadowbringers, right?
You would have somebody join a party earlier on in the week to go in and clear the trash, and that would get you a shortcut. So that way, when you did have raid time during that
Yeah,
week,
cool.
you could just use the shortcut and start attacking the boss.
Dude, all of these
You
things
don't
are
have
so
to do that
present in
anymore,
WoW.
because now raids are just, you know, you queue in, you're at the boss. And it's unfortunate, but like these older raids, like Coil especially, you can never fight it like how it used to be. Even with minimum item level on and no echo, the fight is nerfed from its original state. They don't do this anymore, but they did at the time. Every patch after a raid would come out, they would nerf the previous tier. For instance, in this fight, a Reynad, if it hit you, you would die. One shot, you're dead. And then all of the petrification mechanics in this fight.
That's cool.
If you petrified your teammate or somebody else petrified you, and you got hit by anything while you were petrified, no matter how much damage it did, you died. Another really cool thing with this
That's
fight was
rough.
that you needed to get a kiter. You see this tether going from me to the Reynad there? You needed a specific person in the raid team to do this job, and it would usually be a summoner. So the party finders would always be like, need summoner, need a kiter, because the kiter would bring the Reynad over here and they would slow it down with their dot, and then the healers would freeze it in place. And you would do that with 4 Reynads, and eventually they just wouldn't spawn anymore. Fun fact with that, in the Savage version of Turn 7, the Reynads keep coming, and there's 2 of them at a time. Yeah, the way that they designed Turn 7
Ooh.
Savage was they looked at how we did strats and how we cheese things, and then made it impossible for us to cheese it anymore. Now, in Turn 2...
So that's really interesting. It's an interesting analysis where he's like, oh, you couldn't, like, it was so much harder back in the day, you can't do it the same way anymore. But realistically, when we did Midas on mine, it was kind of like, well, you have to do the fight properly anyway. Like, you have to freeze those, the what are they called? Reynads? You have to freeze them anyway. You have to petrify them. Like, you couldn't... I guess you could make slight mistakes, huh? You could make slight mistakes. Like, the whole idea of people in your group that were petrified, and then if they took any damage, they'd die. That does seem more punishing. Like, so it would probably take you more amount of wipes, but you still ultimately had to do a similar enough strategy? Said no room for error by design. Yeah, so every boss probably felt more so like Bahamut. Because Bahamut felt like that. But Bahamut felt like you can't make a mistake. Like, you can't have people dying. You can't have things going wrong because you just won't kill the boss.
There was this really funny strat. Because Allegan Rot was too hard and nobody wanted to do it, that's the debuff that you gotta pass around.
Yeah, you gotta pass around hot potato.
What you would do instead was wait for the enrage timer. 12 minutes, and you would bring in 3 healers, and you would pull ADS just as it enraged, and then you would just heal through all the damage that it did instead. See, charge complete in 10 clicks. Gotta wait for 0 clicks. 10 more minutes. 10 more minutes. Oh, there it is. Charge complete.
So he doesn't do the rot?
It's enraged. Yep, this was much easier to deal with than doing rot. He just keeps doing this AoE over and over and over.
Right, so he stops doing mechanics.
Spam healing you over and over to live. Also, Mordona in general didn't always look like this. Yep, there used to be a big tree here. Not sure why.
Yeah, that's weird.
Everybody would stand up here. You would show off your...
You guys told me about that, huh?
Standing right here. Or maybe even a mount, right? You're like, oh, I earned this really awesome mount.
That is a good mount.
Kind of worked out.
Yeah, that's actually a very good
right
mount.
Here with it and show everybody. But actually, the greatest part about Mordona was this secret little glitch over here. You could do this.
Why doesn't he just fly?
Jump up here. Jump over this way. Crap.
No.
Go over here. Jump across that. Jump onto this rope. And look. Now I'm on this rope. See?
You can. Yeah, no,
nice?
you can.
Yeah. It's really cool. Great view up here. But it's not that special anymore because we can just fly. So yeah,
flying ruins video
actually,
games.
There's probably a lot of different things I could go on about the history of Final Fantasy XIV, and maybe I will another time. But for now, that's all I've got. So thank you so much. I will see you guys in the next one. Okay, bye.
That's cool. Has Larry been playing since the beginning? Oh, like his video there. Yeah, that was really cool actually. That was like some good sort of discussions that occur because of that. God, every time I talk like the elf copy pasta, yes, interesting discussions. Or I say the word evening. Man, he just gets me every time. Okay. Yes, I think that was quite interesting. A lot of things that I now feel like I understand more about sort of the design of the game and stuff, and how things have maybe been a bit more homogenized, but why? That's probably better. And then... yeah, that was cool. I liked it.